All right, so with your 6-3 note sheet out, let's continue looking at the applications for um, adding and subtracting polynomials and using some other like multiplying monomials here, be able to get our answer here. So this one here, geometry, you've got a nice rectangle here provided. The length of that rectangle is 5x squared. The width is 2x squared. And we're supposed to write an expression to find both the area and the perimeter of the rectangle. So if you remember how to find the area of a rectangle, it is length times width. So our length up there is 5x squared for our rectangle there. So I'm just going to go ahead and substitute 5x squared in there for the length. And then the width there is 2x squared. So now we just have two monomials there being multiplied together. So I can take 5 times 2, so just those plain numbers I can multiply. I'm looking at, I have the same basis for the x's there. I've got x squared times x squared, and remember you add the powers there, and you get x to the 4th. And then perimeter here, if you remember for perimeter there, you have to add up all the sides. So we can do that. We can take 5x squared plus 5x squared plus 2x squared plus 2x squared. And then since they're all like terms, we can just completely combine those and we get 14x squared. So now we got another question down here. It says, then find the area and perimeter when x is equal to 4. So let's find the area there. So that means we're just looking at the answer that we have in part A there for area. It's 10x to the 4th. So I'm going to rewrite that down here, 10x to the 4th. And we're told here that x is now equal 4 in part B here. So I can just substitute 4 in there for the x. So when I do that, I can take 10 times x to the 4th. So 10 times, which is 4 to the 4th. And then getting 2,560. And then the other part here says to go ahead and find the perimeter. So I'm going to take my perimeter answer there from part A, which was 14x to the 2nd. And then I'm going to substitute x equals 4 in there. So now I can take 14 times 4 squared. And I get 224. And now I'm going to have to label my answers. When you do perimeter, you're just adding everything out on the outside. So that's just in plain units, which in this case is just centimeters. And area there is length times width, so square units. So it's 2,560 square centimeters. So there we have both the area and the perimeter there of that rectangle given that x equals 4. So we could just substitute into those formulas that we had in part A to be able to determine what our actual values there were. So looking at this one, we have given the perimeter of the triangle and the two sides. Can you find the third side of the triangle there? So looking at that one, it says P equals 7x plus 3y. That's the perimeter. And then we have these two sides given, and we need to find this third side. So I'm going to put a question mark over there. So to find perimeter, remember, you'd have to add up all the sides here. So I'm going to kind of set this up. I'm going to say 2x plus 3y plus x minus 2y plus question mark, which we don't know, is equal to our perimeter there, which is 7x plus 3y. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and solve for that question mark there. So I'm going to add all my like terms on the left-hand side, and then I'm going to start subtracting those from the left-hand side and bring them over to the right. So combining my like terms there on the left-hand side, I've got 2x plus 1x gives me 3x. And I combine my y's there, 3y minus 2y there gives me plus y. And then I have plus question mark still. We don't know what that side there is. and it's equaling to 7x plus 3y. Still trying to solve for that question mark on the other side. So I'm going to bring all my terms on the left-hand side over on the right-hand side. So I'm going to subtract 3x, I get y plus question mark equals 4x plus 3y. And then I'm going to subtract y. So that side, unknown side, is 4x plus 3y minus 1y. There's 2y. So there's that length of the third side there. So kind of using what I know about perimeter, you add up all the sides there, equals the total perimeter. Combined my like terms on the left-hand side and then brought everything over on the right-hand side so I could solve for that unknown side. And then our third one here, it says the perimeter of the rectangle shown below is 16a plus 2b. We're supposed to write the expression for the length of the rectangle. So perimeter, we add up all the sides. So if that one is 5a minus b, then this one over here is 5a minus b. And again, if we want, we could use some unknown thing. We could use a question mark if we wanted to, which, let's do that. We did that before, so let's do a question mark again. I just wouldn't use A's or B's to put in there. You could call it X if you wanted to and then solve for X if you prefer using X, which most of you do, so maybe we'll try that this time. Since we all like X and there isn't an X in any of the variables here, let's just call this X. But if there was an X in either that, if it was 5X minus 3 or something, I'm not going to use X. But X is going to be my unknown side there, the length of the rectangle. So we can set this up. The perimeter is, remember perimeter, you add up all the sides, so we have to do 5a minus b plus 5a minus b plus x equals my total, which is 16a plus 2b. So combining my like terms here, I've got 5a plus 5a gives me 10a. Negative b plus negative b gives me a minus 2b. And I've got x plus x gives me 2x. And over here, 16a plus 2b. And again, we're trying to solve for x, so we want to bring everything over on the right-hand side except that 2x. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to subtract 10a, subtract 10a from both sides. So we end up with negative 2b plus 2x equals 6a plus 2b. And now I'm looking at this as well, still trying to solve for x. So I need to get rid of this negative 2b. I have to do the opposite, which is add. So I'm going to add 2b to both sides. When I do that, I get 2x equals 6a plus 4b. And then notice I don't have x equals, I have 2x equals, and I'm supposed to solve for the length of the side. So I'm going to have to divide by 2 now because that 2 and the x is connected by multiplication, so I have to do the opposite. So I get x equals, and if you want, it might be easier for some of you to do it this way because otherwise you might forget, is when you divide into here by 2, maybe divide everything over here by 2. Might be easier. So 6a divided by 2 here is 3a, and 4b divided by 2 here is 2b. So 3a plus 2b ends up being the length of that side. So length is 3a plus 2b. And so there we just found the expression for the length of the rectangle. So 3a plus 2b. So now we're going to finish working on that 6.3 worksheet. So continue working on that.